Today's ASMR video will be about famous painting The Night Watch by Dutch painter Rembrandt van Rijn. A painting that volumes have been written and everything seems to have been said about. Yet there are still questions, and history has left its mark, and the night watch is no longer exactly the same painting that Rembrandt created centuries ago. Let me write here our topic. The Night Watch by Rembrandt van Rijn. Here we have on this tablet the painting that we will talk about today. In 1642, when this masterpiece was delivered to the Knloveniers Dolen, a complex of buildings in Amsterdam which served as headquarters and a shooting range for the local civil guard, so-called shootery. It looked quite different from the work of art as we can admire at the Rijksmuseum today. The painting was probably much larger before it was trimmed in 1715. the colors have changed over the centuries. The layers of varnish have been removed and reappealed several times, and the painting has deliberately and repeatedly been damaged and patched up again. And even the name, the Nachtwacht, is not the name that Rembrandt originally gave to his masterpiece, but is partly the result of a painting that has gathered dirt over the years. The centuries that have passed have clearly marked the canvas. And over these centuries, questions have arisen. For example, was the shield in the background of the night watch painted by Rembrandt? Over a period of 400 years, the night watch has been restored at least 25 times. The exact number is probably even higher, because not every treatment was documented. The painting was cleaned, yellow layers of varnish removed, lined, and retouched several times. The treatments were carried out using techniques that were customary at the time, but that we might no longer use today. For example, before 1851, a new way of lining paintings was developed. The lining of paintings is a process of conservation science and art restoration, used to strengthen, flatten, or consolidate oil or tempera paintings on canvas. A new canvas was glued to the back of the painting to reinforce it, and loose paint was fixed at the same time. The method of lining had been used much longer, but the innovative aspect in the 19th century was the use of a mixture of melted beeswax and resin, which was ironed onto the painting from the back through the canvas and the layers and paint. Before that, a mixture of animal glue and flour was used. The lining method using wax and resin was used again in 1945 and 1975. The old linings, particularly those from the 18th and the 19th centuries, may have been the cause of certain small damages to the painting. It is also likely that as a result of this wax and resin method, the canvas and ground layer have darkened. Furthermore, certain parts of the painting seem to be slightly worn as a result of early treatments, such as the face and clothing of Captain Cook. And who is Captain Cook? Let us see here. You can see this is the Captain Bennick, and also the head of the guardsman in red is slightly worn as a result of these early treatments. Research will have to clarify the exact treatments that have been carried out over the past 400 years and what effects those restorations have had on the current condition of the work. Also, through many years, although loved by many in Netherlands, the night watch also fell victim to outbursts of anger and confusion. 3 times the masterpiece was deliberately vandalized. In the first attack in 1911, a man tried to slash the painting with a cobbler's knife. a split second, he was overpowered by guards. But he damaged the picture with few scratches in the varnish. He turned out to be a sailor who had been declared unfit for work and who, out of frustration, wanted to take revenge on the government. The attack that most Dutch people will remember best was the one on 14th September of 1975. A nobly dressed gentleman walked into the museum, went straight for his target, and started to slash the night watch with a serrated knife. He was quickly overpowered, but the damage had been done. The bottom section of the night watch is in tatters. Particularly the captain's and lieutenant's legs have suffered badly. I didn't attack a human being, only a painting. I couldn't help it. The confused man is supposed to have cried out. This attack was the most damaging to the night watch and led to the last major restoration of the masterpiece. It took the restorers 8 months to restore the painting. Despite their best efforts, a permanent scar remains in the night watch. Just above the dog, we can still make out the traces of a cut. Here, you can see. In 1990, the night watch was attacked again. A man who later claimed to be an art lover, but was actually an escaped psychiatric patient, attacked the night watch with a spray can filled with sulfuric acid. A guard again responds swiftly, striking the bottle from his hands and instantly spraying the painting with distilled water. Rijksmuseum experts soon conclude that only the varnish has been affected, but that the damage would have been a lot more serious had it not been for the museum guards' vigilance. In 1715, three-quarters of a century after it was painted, the night watch was moved from the Klovernisdalen to the City Hall, today the Royal Palace at the Dam Square in Amsterdam. But the wall that had been selected turned out to be too small. Instead of choosing a different, larger place, as would be the way to go today, it was simply decided to trim the painting. The canvas was trimmed 60 centimeters or 2 feet, cut from the left side of the painting, 22 centimeters or 9 inches from the top, 12 centimeters from the bottom, and 7 centimeters from the right, so that the masterpiece might fit between two doors at City Hall. In 1715, the profession of restorer as we know it today did not exist. Restorations were often performed by artists or art dealers, and the cut-off pieces were apparently no longer considered relevant, for they disappeared at a time never to be found again. Thanks to contemporary copy, which is attributed to the painter Garrett London's, painted within 13 years of the uncut original, we think we know what is missing. But there are still many questions surrounding London's copy and the original dimensions of the night watch. Today, the dimensions of the painting are 363 by 437 centimeters. Over the centuries, the appearance of the night watch has changed. The ravages of time have left their mark, not only because of external factors, but also due to chemical processes that take place within the painting materials. Over time, some of the pigments have faded. The colors have lost their intensity and have now grown dim. The contrast in the dark sections of the work is less strong, whereas the contrast between the light and the dark sections has in fact increased, which we can see here. High contrast areas and small contrast areas. A good example of degradation can be seen in the dog that is startled and barks and jumps up at the sound of a drum in the bottom right corner of the painting. Over the years, the dog has become less distinct, and today it is shrouded in a whitish haze. Research will have to make clear why these degradation processes occur and what can be done about them. It will then also have to become clear how strongly these processes have changed the night watch over the years. It may seem unlikely, but in terms of materials and techniques, the night watch is the least researched Rembrandt painting in the Rijksmuseum. This has to do with its large dimensions and mostly with its popularity. It is on a public display 7 days a week. And that is why many questions about the painting technique and the material used by Rembrandt have not or not fully been answered. We know, for example, that Rembrandt used a new type of ground layer for the first time in the night watch, and it is a quartz. But there are still many questions about how the master built up the painting from that. Eventually, upon research, we will also be able to compare his working method with earlier and later work, so that we can create a more complete picture of how this important 17th century master went to work. Over the course of the centuries, the night watch has repeatedly suffered. Despite the tightest possible security, this work of art of national importance has turned out to be quite vulnerable. While the government went to extreme lengths to keep the painting safe during wartime, its greatest threats were in times of peace. Nonetheless, it has survived multiple relocations and targeted attacks. Rembrandt spent many years working on the night watch. In 1642, when he finishes the painting, he presents it to his patrons, the guardsmen of the Amsterdam Cloveniers Guild. In the guild's festival and meeting room, the night watch is hung on a long wall near the chimney, and it would remain there for more than 70 years. In lots of ways, the night watch differs from the other military themed paintings in the room. And not all sitters are clearly visible. Many therefore believe that the company was not particularly pleased with the result. But proof to support this has never been offered. Quite the contrary, in fact. Seeing that Rembrandt received 1,600 guilders for the painting, a king's ransom at a time. Moreover, the night watch was hung in the room of the Cloveniers Dolan, as had been previously agreed. The proud Franz Bennick cock. Here, this man even had a watercolor of the night watch painted for his personal collection. As we explained before, in 1715, the night watch has moved to the city hall and unfortunately trimmed. In 1816, the Rijksmuseum moves into the Trippenhaus on Clovenier's Burgwall. A Burgwall is a defensive wall in a city. In 1885, the new and still current building of the Rijksmuseum is completed, and the entire collection, including Rembrandt's masterpiece, is moved to its new location. The night watch is given a pride of place at the very heart of the new Rijksmuseum. Over the centuries, the painting has carried different titles, but the name that stuck, the night watch, was definitely not the one Rembrandt had in mind. By the 19th century, the varnish layer that covered the painting had become dirty and darkened. Back then, the only conclusion that could be drawn was that the militia had been assembled in the hours of the night. And that's how it earned its current name, the Night Watch. It was now, until after the canvas had been cleaned, that the militia members proved to be standing in a dark space lit by daylight. By the late 1930s, the threat of a new world war has become imminent. The country's most valuable works of art now need to be moved to a safe location. The dunes along the Dutch west coast seem safe enough. So a start is made with constructing art storage bunkers. The Rijksmuseum faced a monumental task. Approximately 2,000 paintings and more than 30,000 precious artifacts need to be relocated to their temporary safe storage. For a long time, the dunes remained a safe area. But as the war progresses, the front lines are also getting nearer to the coast. This prompts the Germans to build a defense line that would protect them against an Allied invasion. And once again, the priceless Dutch works of art are under threat and can no longer remain hidden in the dunes. And so it is decided to build a large vault in the caves of the St. Petersburg in the province of Limburg. On the 24th March of 1942, the Night Watch is installed there. The vault offers protection to a total of 750 paintings and is guarded 24/7 by police and museum staff. In July 1945, the vault in Limburg is cleared out and the Night Watch is put on a boat to Amsterdam. After years of traveling and being hidden away in castles, dunes and caves, the Night Watch finally returns home to the Rijksmuseum. In the museum's inner courtyard, the painting is rolled out and reframed. Much to the relief of all, the Night Watch turns out to have survived the war undamaged. In October 2018, the Night Watch becomes breaking news in both the Dutch and international media. The Rijksmuseum announces a large-scale research project and restoration of the Night Watch. The canvas remained on display behind the glass wall, so the public could follow the process both live and online. Now, Amsterdam's Rijksmuseum has finally managed to restore the painting to its original glory with the help of artificial intelligence. This will conclude today's session of the night watch painting. It is a first part. In the second part, we will talk about composition of the painting and about details that we can see on the paintings. Thank you for watching and good night.